It's these dashed long winter nights. You know, nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there. And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material, for which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems. Don't know about admonished. Demolished might be rather close to the mark. And beast is most certainly enough to scream bloody hell! Here we go again. The carpet, was that destroyed by fire when a candle fell on the floor? They'd say it was. Happened at the blink of an eye, you know. Whole place filled with smoke. You see a bally thing. And I was caught between the old sticks of rage and the raging flames. You paint a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. That's sympathy for you. It'd take long for the fire to spread, of course. They do say time is the fire in which we burn. The bally furniture started going up as well. We had to hide the mess behind that screen for the time being. Over there, Mr. Garadip. You have nothing more to hide now, if you'll allow me. Finally. Oh my. And all my favorite old novels in that case. You know, the good stuff. Shakespeare, Woo Baby, all the good stuff. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke. Gosh. And the wife started hurling things at me. Maybe put out the fire first. Also, where did the screen go? I want to say display screen, that's not what it is. It's room divider? That's it. What a terrible sight it must have been. There was I, back up against the window under heavy enemy fire, incendiary box coming in tens to dozen. Worst of it is, I lost my favourite book called Woo Baby. I mean, The Lion's Pride. Lion's Pride, ah yes, your notorious love of big cats coming through again. I assure you the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest. So the poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage. Mr. Schlome's deductions turned out to be correct once again. It can only be described as a great British wonder. I tell you, it was total carnage. Flames everywhere and the old stick in full fettle. Out of interest, what time of day was that? I'm not sure I can remember. It's 2 days ago now. Let's see, around 5 o'clock, I think. So at exactly the same time, as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below. Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. The whole of Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at that moment. And I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing. Oh, really? Yes, a lot of dots, I know. Mr. Shlomes. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. What can I do for you? I think we've got to the bottom of Mr. Garadeb's situation now. What does it have to do with Mr. Natsumi's circumstances? I can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be of relevance or not. I just knew you were going to say that. It's all about the bookmark, isn't it, really? Now, Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall into one of only two categories, those relevant to the case and those not. That makes no sense to me. Well, no matter. It is of far greater importance that you make up your mind now. Sorry? Visiting hours at the prison will soon be over. Oh no. Is it that time already? If we're to accept Mr. Natsumi's case, we have official paperwork to attend to. So that's it. No more time to think. Perhaps you'd like to take yourself to bidding us farewell. I must prepare supper for Mr. Garadeb. Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Thank you both very much for your time. So Seki-san will be waiting for us. And I'm going to have to give him an answer. We're going to say yes, obviously, right? Right? Let's actually... Didn't really get a good chance to investigate this at all, did we? What a miserable sight. Oh dear. At least the whole room wasn't engulfed in flames. I suppose so. My whole collection went up in smoke, you know. Those novels I adored so much. Well, John, whose fault is that? Not mine, that's for sure. Well, whoever may or may not be to blame. I'm quite sure you can buy some new, old books to replace them, can't you? New old books. Bally nonsense. Does sound like a contradiction in terms, but then these two are full of contradictions. That's couples for you, Mr. Naruhodo. Or so I've been led to believe. Nothing else over here, it's just that. Maybe they'll say something else. I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I'm afraid it's supper time now. I have to ask you to leave. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. If we linger too long, Miss Garadeb will start pouring tea again. No one wants that. I want that. Alright, shall we go then? Well, not on the floor, though, you know. No doubt Saseki-san is beside himself in his cell, waiting for us to return. Can't afford to spend any longer making up my mind. Alright. I actually want to check outside. Oh, check outside, though. At Briar Road. Oh, 19th of February. Briar Road. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison. Yes, I know. Let's hail a kite. Oh. What's the matter? Looks like something's going on over there in front of the Garadeb's house. I mean, that's what I wanted to look at. Yeah, there you go. What the bloody hell is going on here? Alright. I know thee not, old man. Hold to thy prayers. Are you calling, old man, you rum-looking nimny-pimny? But yeah, you can see the second floor has actual windows, so it's like, yep, that does line up. That's what I wanted to check. That's all I came here for. Was I meant to come here? I was going to go to the prison for once. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Who's this Horatio fella, eh? What are you on about? Excuse me. What the... Who are you now? I'm sorry, it just looked as though there might be some problem here. And my associate here, Mr. Ryu, is a lawyer, you see. A lawyer? What? If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I have studied English law. Tch. Fine, I'll be on my way over today. But you mark my words. What's this you've got on your chest there? This ain't over yet. Get thee a nunnery? Do I look like a blooming nun to you? Alright then. I do hope you're not injured. Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle, thank you. What was that all about? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. I'm not Horatio either. Forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here? In the Garadeb residence? Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode. Mr. Garadeb mentioned that he had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor? Ah, yes, a gentleman named Natsumi. Oh, more worthier polemist? In my battle of words, ne'er could there be. Sorry? Battle, did you say? Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? You can't say that. Mr. Natsumi and I sparred long into the night. I see. I do remember, by the way, one of the last things I did before the pandemic was go to a show, because I enjoy a podcast called The Parapod. It finished years ago, and they're sort of releasing a film around now, but, you know, coronavirus got in the way of everything around that. But anyway, so I went to a show, a live performance of this podcast, essentially, The Parapod. It's a paranormal podcast with two comedians. One's a skeptic, one's a believer. And it's hilarious. I absolutely adore it. It's fantastic. Me and Sarah listen to it all the time. It's just so funny. But while I was there, it was very much the believer in all that kind of like paranormal nonsense. Was very much like, well, you know, there's the Scottish play. It's like, you know you can say it, right? From the skeptic. It's just sort of like, you can't say that. It's cursed, and we're doing a show. And it's just like the skeptic's like, what? You can't say what? It's like, well, you know, Macbeth. Like, oh no, I've said it. It's like, and he said it like 3 or 4 more times. And it's very much like, yeah, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. And it's very much like, just the believer was very much sort of like, if anything happens, it's gonna be my fault. Halfway through, it seemed like someone had a heart attack. I see. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsumi and this gentleman are acquaintances at least. Genuinely, it's like we had to stop the show because we had to get the emergency, like an ambulance and stuff there. Like, it just, yeah. It's like, oh, is that because you said Macbeth? Oh dear. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsumi and this gentleman are acquaintances at least. So, fair maiden, so good gentleman, I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well. I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. Seems he's unaware of what's happened to Mr. Natsumi, so he can't really help us. With Soseki-san and that man as lodgers, the carried-up house is certainly full of eccentrics. Anyway, I'll go and find a carriage. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsumi is eagerly waiting our return. Let's hope we can get to the prison before visiting hours are over. "19th of February, 6:31 p.m. A local prison, cell 9. His eyebrows are very strange. Oh, it's you. You're here, you came. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Locum. Can't believe you came back. I'm so touched. We are so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsumi. Oh, no, think nothing of it. Relax. If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never foiling, nipping ears. Foiling. Oh, now let's not get carried away. Oh, I quite agree. There's nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand, it is through friendship, transcending international borders, that one truly appreciates the fact. Such is my belief, at least. It's you! The miserable, rotten spy. Herr Loch Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here? I have no intention of doing anything, per se. Save observing, of course. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home to see how our divested friend is faring. Gloomful room? At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it is the superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight, and cost me not a penny. Ah, you. How dare you, hair-lock schlims. Ugh. I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should never have come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings. No doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life is bedamned. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed, I mean. There is much truth in Mr. Mustache's words. What? Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say. For the man's lodgings, and indeed for tomorrow's trial. What's that supposed to mean? Let's present him some stuff. Let's present this second-hand book receipt. We found this receipt in your room, Mr. Natsumi. That's right. I went out to buy some new old books. Isn't that a contradiction in terms? Again? And it was on your way back to your room that you saw the woman being stabbed. She's dead, I thought to myself. She's dead! My mind went completely blank. Before I knew it, I was back in my room, trembling like a leaf. The bookworm hoped to worm his way out of a bad situation. Mr. Naruhodo, please do be careful not to think such disparaging thoughts. How could you possibly know? Okay, local map, may as well. Mr. Natsumi, would you take this and, Oh, the joy, the sheer joy of a gift from my fellow countrymen. The complete kindness of kith and kin. Oh no, sorry, I just wanted to show you. It's mine. The complete cruelty of kith and kin. Oops. Anyway, let's converse with him then. Cursed trial. Mr. Natsumi, what did you mean by what you said just now? About the trial tomorrow being cursed? Oh no, why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. It's just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it. Oh, I see, that's really agitated him. You don't mean the trial really is cursed somehow? Well... Are you referring to the prosecutor, the Reaper at the Bailey? The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please, tell me. Summarize succinctly in 16 salient words. Right. No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution. Ever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Smack on. Oh my goodness, can it be really true? That was 16 words exactly. It was. Yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended someone against the Reaper. But then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances. Prepare for unseen consequences. That was it, wasn't it? Mr. McGilded. What? You're probably not best to tell him that. I'm impressed, Miss Susato. You have an eye for detail. Actually, the Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Shlomes, surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zykes killed the man himself? But the fact you're pointing that out makes that no. That's too obvious. Oh no, he couldn't have, surely. You have some wonderful notions. Sorry? The man isn't a mass murderer, he's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow. Oh, yes. Why, of course he is. Oh, of course he is. Then why are you trying to scare me? It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. What? What on earth do you mean by that? The Reaper. Van Zykes is quite he's a quite exceptional man, yes. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception. That's good. So Seki-san looks like he's going to cry tears of joy. As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial, there is both a judge and a jury. Judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. It is an excellent system, whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is somewhat easily manipulated. Right. Criminals and corrupt lawyers, for that matter, can use it to their advantage. By any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling impostors as witnesses, and so on. And by such underhand means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury, which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail. But it means the wrong verdict can be passed. And sadly, is from time to time, my dear madam, is simply the reality of the situation. And that's all right. However, those indicted by Lord Van Zyte cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed. Oh my. Though the adjudication may see they leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It's most striking. Disappear? But how? Ah, by all manner of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever. Or perhaps attacked by a highwayman. Oh, no. All examples of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruhodo. I knew it. I'm a dead, dodo, done for, doomed. Maybe. Accursed lodgings. When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garadeb's house, I assume. Do you mean to say you believe the place is cursed? It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain, but I'd only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in myself. That didn't take long then. Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going outside. They were always staring at me all the time, from dawn till dusk. I shut myself away in my room, but even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away. You must have been very lonely, having been away from your homeland for such a long time. I've had to move a number of times, most recently to that room on Briar Road a week ago now. Yes, why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient. The rent is cheap, so little money. It appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said, "The room is cursed." Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late. So I told him, "If you have something to say, then say it, but if not, don't mention it in the first place." Yes, well said. But it was true. It was all true. You mean, the room really is cursed then? Ever since I moved into that windowless hellhole, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I'm being choked to death. In my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Can no one find it in his or her heart to believe in me? Really? No one at all? To believe. Yes, to believe. To believe. Mr. Shlomes. Ah, me, Mr. Naruhodo. Pray, what can I do for you? It's about the case of the SS Burya, if you recall. The Burya. Ah, that case. The one with the snake. Well, yes. At that time, I was the suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. And you helped us to investigate. I did I? Interesting. What I want to know is, why? Why did you believe in me? I see, yes. You mean... because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with the victim in a locked room? Well, if you like, yes. I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said, I didn't do it. But I could have been lying. Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little. I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I never recall believing in you. Nor in that which you were telling me. What? You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in. What do you mean, Mr. Shlomes? I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can hang as far as I'm concerned. But I could have betrayed your trust. In that case, I should have made an elementary error of judgment. Nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse, in my opinion. Meaning? Whether or not one should trust another is, in the final analysis, down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, he's right. He's right. Locum student Mr. Nadahodo Esquire. Okay. Whether or not I can believe myself. Well, believe in yourself, I'd say. I knew he'd come back. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. You're so right, Kazuma. Well, my dear fellows, it is time we were leaving, I believe. Already? Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. There is a restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me? Oh dear. There's never enough time, is there? Mr. Natsumi, if you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. As I said, I only experienced a British court for the first time yesterday. And although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial. Something crucial. What to believe in. The defendant. Justice or the truth. How to believe, even. But I think I finally worked it out. I decided I must believe in myself above all else. To trust my instincts. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. And my instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsumi, are innocent of this crime. It's imperative that we prove that in court. Look, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I will fight your innocence until the bitter end, with every weapon available to me. So I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow. As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me in my native tongue. Of course, Mr. Natsumi. Of course. It would be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was in many ways made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it. Yes, I think you're right about that. Been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end. Bloody hell! Miss Suzuto. Yes? Would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. The shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind. But it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Shlomes believes in me now too. So it's time. Time that I learnt to believe in myself. Soseki-san has no one. He's all alone. It's my job to help him. To fight his corner. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength I can muster. Damn right. To be continued.